Welcome on into a Phillies Orioles postgame show with your host, Jason Joseph from Play by Play with JJ and your boy, Steve from Orioles Birdwatcher. Man, what a series this was. Two of the top three best teams going at it against each other. Steve, how you doing? What's going on, Steve?
I'm doing great now that I just hit mute on the on the other page there. Can't even get prepared. Can't even get prepared right for this. I'm doing good, man. Father's Day, Sunday baseball, one of the best, most exciting series that I've seen in the middle of June that I can recall in my lifetime. Obviously, I'm happy about taking the last two games and taking the series, but feeling good.
Yeah, well, hey, I think that this is a pre-match for the World Series. I really, really do. As a Phillies fan and as somebody that's been covering the Phillies, I don't think that this series indicated anything. I really don't. I think that these are two of the top best teams. You could put the Yankees in that category too, but I think that there wasn't really anything I learned about the Phillies in this series. I didn't really think that the Orioles were like they didn't surprise me. If that makes any sort of sense. I figured that Gunnar Henderson was going to go off. I figured that Anthony Santander was going to have some really good performances. It didn't really surprise me, and I really feel like it could be a series for the ages, and anybody can win it if it goes to the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a best of seven, we're just scratching the surface of what this series could have turned out to be. I mean, it's definitely two very evenly matched clubs. I took a look at some of the overlying stats and like total runs on the season. We were deadlocked. I think it was like 340 for both teams, exactly on the nose. Our staff ERA is 0.02 off of each other before today's game.
That's so crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, it is a very, very evenly matched squad on both sides. Good starting rotation, solid offense. I just think we got a couple of extra guys a little deeper down the lineup that might make us a little bit stronger. But, some of them
to be fair, Trey Turner is injured.
Is out.
That is a big loss for right, exactly. But overall, I think it's a pretty balanced matchup, and you may have a little bit more depth than we do. I can't deny that. I think that the starting pitching for you guys was really, really good, and I kind of want to just bounce off and talk a little bit about today and how happy were you with your offense, with how they did against Zach Wheeler?
Well, I mean, how can I be anything other than ecstatic? One of the things that's been tough for Oriole fans to endure, even though our records have been great and we pretty much win 2 out of 3. Our longest losing streak has been 3, but it's been pretty customary that it takes us a little while to get to the starting pitcher, even if it's like the 4th or 5th guy in a rotation on a mediocre team. There's been a lot of games this year where we've had to wait until the 6th, 7th inning just to get going.
Right.
But very happy about today because here we are facing one of the best pitchers in the game.
Yep.
And we get to him the first 3 innings, a homer in the first, a homer in the second, a homer in the third. I mean, what more can you ask for in terms of setting the tone and what was marketed to anybody who follows baseball as one of the best pitching matchups on tap so far this season. So, yeah, very, very happy with the offense today. And the fact that we're leading the league in home runs, we keep doing it. There was a point somewhere when we were maybe struggling a bit about a month ago where I started to feel like maybe our approach at the plate and being aggressive and looking for those off-speed pitches and swinging big and getting those home runs, that eventually it might catch up to us because we weren't walking a lot. We weren't really working counts a whole lot. Yep. So when we would lose games, it was usually because we would just overswing on a soft tossing pitcher and just sort of dig ourselves into a hole. But today we came out against a very tough pitcher. We came out swinging, and you guys had the same approach yesterday,
Correct,
against Cole Urban.
Yep.
The first 4 pitches, you guys had a 2-run lead against Cole Irvin. You guys definitely had a strategy there, which was go up there hacking, and yeah. So I'm talking too much, aren't I? What do you got?
No. You're good. You mean are you talking about Grayson? You talking about Grayson Rodriguez?
No, the start Cole Irvin made. You guys, the first 3 batters all reached, and the third guy up drove in 2 runs. I'm trying to remember this correctly. That was definitely you guys. Was that the Friday night game or yesterday?
No, we played against Grayson Allen yesterday. Grayson Allen started.
Okay, so it's Cole Irvin on Friday.
Kyle Bradish was on Friday. Bradish was on Friday. Yeah, I'm being serious. Bradish was on Friday.
Cole Irvin definitely gave up. Chad, help me out here.
No, Kyle Bradish Friday night. Bradish pitched Friday. Then it was Grayson, and then today it was Corbin Burns. Yeah, that's how it was. But yeah, against Kyle Bradish on Friday, I understand what you're trying to say. The approach against Bradish on Friday, they had a really good approach. They really did. I thought that where they went wrong today is that they just could not get the timely hit. They couldn't get the timely hit. That's what went wrong today.
Yeah, we had the same number of hits, right? 10 hits apiece.
Yep.
And you guys came up 5 runs short. So what was the runners in scoring position? What was that looking like?
One hit.
But I mean, left on base?
Left on base, we had a lot of guys. I want to say 8. I'm going to double check that right now.
Yeah.
It's we left a lot of guys on. The bottom line is that we left a lot of guys on. And hey, that 9th inning could have been a disaster for you guys. Honestly, I really thought that the Phillies, what actually really did make me a little bit mad was that they didn't take advantage of those 2 errors. I thought that should have been where they capitalized. And I know that they're like they're in the big hole, whatever, but good teams find ways to come back in that type of an area. And I was surprised that Kimbrel wasn't available, I guess because he pitched 2 games in a row. That's why Brandon Hyde didn't want to go to him.
Kimbrel 3 games in a row. You guys should know better. You had him last year. That's you're asking for trouble. So yeah, right. He's definitely not in the plans for today's game.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it was going to be tough, man. It was a 5-run lead going into the 9th.
2 for 14 with runners in scoring position, by the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a 5-run lead. Yep.
And the fact again, half of our not half, but 40% of our hits, went over the wall.
Yep.
So that helps.
It definitely does. But hey, man, Corbin's the real deal, dude. I've always been a fan of his. I know that he was really struggling with his location early on when he was in Milwaukee. But then as he went on, he started to really find how to control his pitches. We knew that he was a very strikeout dominant pitcher overall. I know that he didn't really have a lot of strikeouts in his last performance, but today he looked really sharp. And I thought that when the Phillies had their chances to score, he came in and he was firing. He had a 97-mile-per-hour cutter. That's ridiculous.
That's the pitch, and that's what turned his whole career around. He was throwing a 4-seamer, and he threw the worst 4-seamer in baseball back.
That has to be one of the fastest cutters in baseball.
Oh yeah, plenty of movement on there. But I'll say this though, I mean, we're as an Oriole community, the constant discussion is: do we put the money down for a long-term deal and try to outbid everybody for Burns and keep him on the team? Is he the ace that we want long-term? The one drawback for me is his complete inability to keep runners on, where they are when they're on base. I mean, it is.
Look at how many guys stole off of him. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody knows it's not a secret. I mean, even if you're just a mediocre runner, and plus the one time he tried to do a pickoff, he threw it into the outfield. That's the second time he's done that in the last 3 starts.
Yep.
So, I mean, you talk about everything else but that. Yeah. I mean, he's an ace. He's a bona fide ace. But that is a little bit concerning because it's stuff like that can decide games in the biggest moments,
For sure. I want to make sure that I say hi to everybody in the chat too. Want to make sure I say hello to Cello.
Hey, fellow bird watchers.
What's going on, Philly freaks? How you doing? What's good? What's up, everybody?
Oh wait, I got to outshout you. Hey, bird watchers, come on, let me hear ya.
Pump up the jam, pump it up.
Harry Carey coming at you after the Orioles. All right,
I love it. Oh no, that's beautiful. I thought you were going to do a Gary Thorne impersonation.
I don't think I can do that.
I'm not.
I can do a Gary Thorne hockey impression.
Can you?
Passes it to the guy over the other guy. He shoots. He scores. There you go.
What's up? What's up, the dude? What's up, Serena? Man, we have a lot of loyalty. Philly Special Cards is also here as well. Shout out to my boy. Anything surprise you in this series from an Orioles or even just a Phillies perspective?
Surprises. I'm surprised Jordan Westberg made the error that he did, and the fact that he's made a few now in about a week, because he's been absolutely phenomenal in the field and at the plate for the most part all season. But a little worried about why he's made some pretty routine plays. He's and Mountcastle as well. Mountcastle.
Yeah,
I've been singing the praises about him defensively all season.
That ninth inning could have been bad.
He's made a couple of mistakes. You saw that one play where he tried to, hit the pitcher covering, and
that was with 2 outs.
Off target.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So normally we don't do that. That's normally not our thing. So to see that happen, and to put us in a situation like that, that's uncharted territory for this 2024 team. Hopefully that's luckily didn't cost us anything in terms of the result, but
right.
Yeah, maybe that's something we'll talk about during the off day. Hey, folks, let's field this ball here.
Cello brings up a good point. I was actually, to be honest with you, I was surprised at how many Phillies fans did come. I have to agree with that, because not saying that Phillies Nation doesn't show out, because they do. The city is a football and a baseball town. That's just how it goes. And the fans will ride on their back when things are going really well. I didn't think, and maybe this is me being a little bit spoiled because I also, of course, watch basketball too, and I saw what happened when the Knicks were coming over to the Wells Fargo Center and they took over our building in the playoffs, and that was unacceptable. And I think that just seeing that, a home team or a home crowd traveling to a road crowd, I didn't think that was really possible. Maybe my thought process was skewed after what happened in the playoffs for the Sixers, but I was really happy that Phillies Nation showed out. I really was.
Yeah, it's unfortunately something we're not unaccustomed to at Camden Yards, especially during the lean years. Whenever the Yankees come to town, they buy up the tickets, I know. A lot of the times because it's cheaper than going to a game at Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
You can take a train basically right to the ballpark.
Yep.
At a beautiful yard like ours. They come down in droves. But what's always been important that I stress to my fellow Oriole fans is that, you got to pack the yard. You got to keep the ratio in our favor. You got to represent. You got to get out there to the yard and pack the house and let these people know that we can fill up these stands.
Have you ever been to the yard?
Sorry?
Have you ever been to the yard?
Oh, more times than I can count. Sure.
When was the last time you were there, if you don't mind me asking?
Geez. It would have to be the 2014 season. 2014. Okay. So 10 years. Wow. 10 years.
10 years. Wow.
I was there 3 years. I was still in the middle of the Chris Davis era.
Adam Jones. Yep.
Oh, AJ was great, but
Adam was great. But that was the year that Chris Davis actually did okay. Like, he was actually doing really well. He had that one really good, solid MVP type of a season.
And when you know it was a contract year.
Yeah.
What a well-timed season.
Yep. Yep. I know. And hey, Matt Wieters was a great catcher too. But anyhow, I wanted to just ask you. So you look at Friday's game. Obviously, the weather was a factor in extra innings.
What a game that was.
What went wrong on Friday for you guys?
For us?
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to think back. I mean, I'd have to look at the box score or something.
I think here, let me refresh your memory a little bit, okay? Because I think that I have to give the Phillies credit, because the Phillies, they battled through the adversity. Okay, they're up 2-1. Santander, tip my cap to that guy, because do you realize that Matt Strahm has not allowed an earned run since opening day?
Yeah.
To do that in what was arguably the ninth inning, because that was a ninth inning situation.
Yeah.
Santander, it honestly gave me flashbacks to Yordan Alvarez in the World Series, hitting the big bomb against Alvarado. It did bring back flashbacks there. But I thought what the Phillies did right in that game, I thought that what they did was, obviously they capitalized and they got the 2 runs that they needed in the top of the 11th. But I thought that their pitching was so outstanding in that game. I really did.
Yeah, I'm looking at the box score here, and yeah, this game was, again, one for the ages. You guys took a 1-0 lead. We tied it in the third. You went ahead in the fifth, 2-1. Yep. We tied it in the eighth from Santander's homer.
Yep.
And then we go to the 10th. You guys had a ghost runner, but remember there's that rundown. So we thought maybe, just maybe, we can get out of that top of the 10th and walk it off. But you guys got to run it anyway.
Santander had a beautiful throw. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's not, Anthony Santander. Look, he's never going to win a Gold Glove, and his range isn't the best. But if he can get to the ball, he'll usually stab it, and yeah, he'll occasionally whip off a nice throw too. And when we got Mateo out there, he's a great cutoff man. He's got a really strong arm.
Yeah, Mateo is a good. He does.
We haven't seen Mateo since Friday, though. I don't know why he wasn't in today's game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too.
Well, what we should be talking, if we're talking about big news in Baltimore, it's Kyle Bradish, because that game on Friday that you're talking about, that for some reason I thought was Cole Irvin. I don't know what I'm thinking, but either way,
hey, it's like 6:06 a.m. where you are.
It's 4:06, but 6:06 would be better. At least there would be sunlight, and I'd feel productive. Now I feel like a degenerate at 4:00 in the morning. But yeah, Bradish is he's probably toast. He's probably toast, because this is the third time. Well, first he went down in the offseason with this elbow issue, and we had to sit there and make a decision. Do we go with these injections and this therapeutic method that might have him back in time somewhere around May and just hope that it works? Or we take him under the knife, lose him for 2024, but at least he'll be back at some point in 2025. And it's looking to me like we made the wrong decision, because as it stands,
hindsight's 2020.
I don't see how Bradish is going to come back. If he does, he's a ticking time bomb. Yeah, we could sit here and just put him in plastic wrap until October,
right?
Make a spot for him on the 40-man roster, throw him into a rotation, and see if he can pitch a few innings before his arm falls off. But I mean, that could be the case. I mean, even if we sat there and just cultivated a spot for this guy, not let him throw another pitch until October, he could just very well go out there in one start and blow that elbow up for good. So my problem is that the likely outcome of all this is that Bradish will have wound up having made maybe 6 or 7 starts, and then that's it for 2024. And then now he's gone for all of 2025 too, because he's going to have to go under the knife. So yeah, it's the wrong move. If he would have just gone under the knife in the offseason now, yeah, we lose 1 full season on the front end, but then we got way more than 6,
right.
you get way more than 6 starts in 2025 with a brand new arm.
Yeah. Yep. And I was thinking to myself, I was kind of scratching my head a little bit because obviously I'm doing the Phillies game, whatever, but I thought that Hyde left him out there a little bit too long. Like, I was surprised he lasted 5 innings. I really was. Even 74 pitches.
Well, I could probably say the same thing about Wheeler. I mean, typically when a guy,
I'm not surprised about that. I'm not surprised about that because I'm accustomed to Rob Thompson trusting his guys.
But I mean, just in general, you know, when a guy gives up 4 homers and puts up 8 runs, they get yanked.
It's true.
He was still out there. That's just
I understand, but
that's not the typical way things go.
It's Rob Thompson though. Like if you follow the Phillies all year long, Rob goes with his gut at times, and sometimes he doesn't go with his gut. And what makes it frustrating at times is when he relies too much on his studs to get out of a jam. And he easily should have pulled Zach Wheeler out earlier in today's game.
Once you do something that you've never done in your career, once you've given up your 4th home run, that should have been the easy, okay, let's end his day and not make him add to this and jack up his ERA or whatever. Like, we got it. He didn't have it today. And, but yeah, they just kept going with him. Like, oh, we're just going with him till he gets to 100 pitches, no matter what he does.
Yep. Well, and that's how he operates. Now, I will tell you what was really surprising to me. Rob does not get ejected a lot. Serena is right. Rob was angry at the ump for the possible hit by pitch against Garrett Stubbs. I have never seen Rob Thompson that angry before. He's a very calm, cool, collective type of a guy. And to see him go off like that, I was like, wow. I didn't know he had that in him. I was shocked. I was really shocked by that.
That bill of his cap was right there scraping the eyebrows of the umpire.
Yeah. And honestly, Estabrook deserved it.
Yeah.
He did. But, I mean, at the same time, Rob should not have left Zach Wheeler in as long as he did. But, hey, guess what? That strike that was called to Bryson Stott, that was not a strike. When I think it was the end, the 3rd inning, I believe it was. 5th inning. It was the end of 5th inning. I wrote it down in my score sheet. But yeah, that I'm not the person that always says that a call or like even bad calls should ruin the outcome of a game. But Rob did have a right to feel a little angry the way that he did, and I'm happy that he actually did go off because he's never done that. Like never. Not. That's the first time he's done that.
Well, I mean, it's if that's the first time, I mean, he picked probably one of the more, tension-filled environments in which to do it, and I'm sure his players appreciate him for doing it, because I mean, it's a charged atmosphere.
Sure.
And I mean, if he's normally a pretty controlled guy, it makes more of a statement, really. I mean, if you got a reputation for being pretty civil and you don't fly off the handle and then you go ahead and do it, that just makes it all the more impactful.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, Adley's a star. I mean, like, what else is new? But Adley, man, he is such an incredible player.
What's not to like?
I was going to ask you, what do you like about him the most?
The leadership. I mean, with all the stuff on the paper that jumps out at you, it's just, I mean, the culture of the city and the team changed the day he showed up, and it has not looked back since. It's like nothing I've ever seen before in my lifetime. I mean, I would equate it to something like Griffey showing up to the Mariners, and then they suddenly started becoming that juggernaut team with Tino Martinez, Edgar Martinez,
Right.
Randy Johnson.
Yep.
You know, they just started building a juggernaut, and it was Griffey that was that catalyst, you know, and Adley just seems like that kind of, I'm not saying that those two are direct comps in terms of like sort of their leadership in the clubhouse and everything.
Right.
But it's just the culture. It's the culture that surrounds Adley and the camaraderie with this team, JJ. It's just such a delight to have a team where there is no drama going on. Nobody's barking about why am I not getting this amount of playing time or that.
That's
and
how
I think it's something that Brandon Hyde doesn't get enough credit for, which is trying to,
I agree,
balance the roster that he has, give everybody a chance to get involved, because that's, I think, what makes our team special is that, there's no, there's no just like wasted guy. Like I remember when we went to play the Reds and they had this Bubba Thompson who was
yep
on the bench. Bubba. And I remember the Reds play-by-play guy go, oh, wow, here he is for his pinch running appearance. Like he can't. He's
just
a
guy
taking up.
I don't mean to cut you off, but do you know who that is?
Bubba Thompson?
John. No. The play-by-play announcer for the Reds.
Oh, I know it used to be Tom Brenneman, right?
It used to be Tom Brenneman, but now it's John Sadak. And Sadak actually went to Rowan. And he graduated. He's like one of the most famous alums that's in broadcasting from there. That was my alma mater. But yeah,
all right.
I just didn't know if you knew that. I wanted to tell you. But
I'm from the University of the Fighting Gamecocks. That's right, South Carolina.
South Carolina Gamecocks. Yep, for sure.
That's right. Hey, by the way, I went. Do you remember a second baseman by the name of Brian Roberts? Switch hitter?
Of course, I remember Brian Roberts. Yes.
He and I went to the University of South Carolina. Graduated same year. He was on the team.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny because
I always thought that injuries were such a bad thing in his career. I really did. I thought that the injuries were really bad. I thought that he was a really good defensive second baseman, and the injury bug just always hit him.
Yeah, he could have probably, I don't know if he could have put up, anything to get a Hall of Fame conversation started or anything, but you look at the tools, you got speed, you got switch hitter.
Yep.
A little bit of pop.
Yep.
Good glove.
Oh yeah. He was a great defensive player.
And a good attitude. So yeah, Brian Roberts, I'm sure Oriole fans here in chat are big fans. He's actually now involved in the broadcast booth. And also was actually helping out Jackson Holiday in the spring.
I thought I saw that.
Helping him out there. I wonder when we'll be seeing old Jackson again.
Yeah, I don't know when that's going to happen.
Hey, by the way, do you Philly fans have any idea who Kobe Mayo is? Have you heard that name before? Of course,
we know Kobe Mayo. Yes.
All right. Just get ready.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be Alec Bohm on roids, without the roids.
I see that Cody Ashley is a part of your staff. We had Cody.
What are some deals we've made over the years? I'm trying to think. When have we ever dealt with the Phillies? Anybody know in chat? I'm trying to think. Who are some of your players?
I'm trying to think of. Do you ever play with the Immaculate Grids?
I don't.
I play them all the time. They're so good. But like,
was that like the 9 square box thing?
Correct.
Where you gotta?
Correct.
Oh, I have done it. I've dabbled.
They are so addicting. They are so good. I like them a lot. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that we trade for that was like a big deal. Kyle, maybe more recently, Kyle Gibson. Did we trade for Kyle Gibson? Oh wait, no. Gibson was on the Twins. He did play for the Orioles, though. Correct.
Yeah, he after he was done with the Twins, he was a free agent, and we signed him to a 1-year deal.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's like the only person that I can think of.
But Gibson was a former Philly?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
All right.
He was.
I'm sure something
Vance
will come to mind.
Worley. There
I
we
got a name
go.
for you. Didn't Phil Bradley used to play for the Phillies? You remember the name Phil Bradley?
I think it was before my time.
Yeah, it would have been like late 80s.
Okay, yeah, then that's way before my time. Phil Bradley, I think, was a Philly, though.
I think that's how far back we might have to go.
D, what's going on? I want to make sure I say hello to everybody, too. Of course, Serena's here. Dan Brew's here. What's going on? What's good, my guys? Jesus is also here. We have a God in here. He comes onto my stream all the time.
I know that reference. That's from He Got Game.
That's right. He got game.
Jesus Shuttlesworth, yeah.
Yep. Back to the conversation, though, just about the Orioles and just about the Phillies series overall. Do you think that Adley proved that he is the best catcher in baseball, or do you think that JT Realmuto is still up there? Because I think both of them are top two. I really think that both of them are the best. I do.
I mean, if you're asking me who do I want Adley just because of the age and the fact that he's going to be doing what he's doing for a long time. JT has been a great catcher. I don't take anything away from him. I'm sure if he was healthy, he'd probably be in the running to be an all-star like he's been many times before. But
he was
I think if you ask any GM on any of the other 29 teams, if they could just toss whoever catcher they got and replace him with Adley Rutschman, even JT Realmuto, I think they would do it.
Yeah, I do too. I think both of them are the best catchers in baseball. And that's another reason why I want to see the Phillies in the World Series, because let's be honest, the other thing that people aren't really talking about is that Zach Wheeler, when you have a new catcher behind the plate that you just don't play, you play like once every 2 weeks or so, going over signs, going over, like what pitches to throw and that type of a thing, chemistry matters. And JT does a really good job at that. And I think that I'm not making excuses for the Phillies. Don't get it misconstrued. But I do feel like one of the reasons why Zach struggled today was because him and Garrett were not on the same page.
I could understand that. How many times have they been battery partners?
Not too many.
Yeah.
Not too many. So I think that's
another thing. The thing though with Adley is that because his bat is so valuable, pretty much 95% of the time we face a lefty, he's DHing. He's probably DH'd out of 70 games, I don't know, 30?
Yep.
Or something crazy.
For sure.
So as good as a defender he is, as good as managing the staff as he is and framing pitches and pop time and all that good stuff, it's just crazy. I actually prefer to see Adley behind the plate more than he is. I think it's worth letting him just have a full day off every once a week and maybe get a better bat in the lineup than James McCann versus having both of them in the lineup.
He's good defensively, though. He's a good backup.
But the other thing that happens is when we do that, if we get into a close game and we got to make late moves and you got a situation with like McCann up in an RBI spot and you want so desperately to pinch hit for him, well, the only way you can do that is if you take away the DH.
Yeah.
And then, that's a hindrance. You don't have that flexibility when you're starting both of them at the same time like that.
For sure.
But it's worked so far, though. It's worked so far. I mean, McCann, I think it's really important to have a good backup catcher, no matter what, if you're a contending team, that backup catcher means a lot. And basically McCann has now become Corbin Burns' personal catcher. That's the other thing.
Right.
We might see a little bit of an adjustment in the way McCann is used because he's kind of the personal catcher now for Burns.
But you have flexibility because Adley is a DH and he's a catcher. So you have that flexibility. The Phillies don't because Kyle Schwarber is the DH, and Kyle Schwarber was not good in the field.
Right.
So it is nice to have that luxury. It really is. I feel like
how about the luxury of having arguably the most exciting young catcher and shortstop at the same time, hitting first and second at the top of the lineup,
I know.
a lefty and a switch hitter. I
Yep.
mean, that is an advantage. What other team can boast? Not even the Dodgers.
I think Gunnar and Adley, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, and Mookie and Shohei are the three best duos in baseball. I do.
I'd agree with that. And I would say Mookie and Shohei, you know, they're in the prime of their careers. Judge and Soto. I mean, Soto's still pretty young.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't of all those duos you named, nobody's younger than the duo we got. So it's just,
I mean, Alvarez and Tucker are good too, but I think that Gunnar and Adley are better this year.
I'm going to be honest. I think Judge and Soto as a 1-2 punch is the best in baseball. I mean, they both have an OPS over 1,000. They're the top two in the department in the American League, at least the last time I checked.
Yep.
It is, but the thing is that when you look at the Yankees on the leaderboard of stats, those two guys are at the top, and then you look for that next name, and it's somewhere down in the 20s, whether you're talking about average or RBI or on base percentage, stuff like that. So yeah, they've got two big studs, but that depth is not on the level of a team like ours. So, you know, on a given night, and of course, the Yankees are sitting on 50 wins. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that they're a bad team. They're not a bad team at all. But the fact of the matter is, if you can figure out a way to not let Judge and Soto beat you, if you can figure out a way, like when Soto's hitting second and Judge is hitting third, if you can figure out a way to get Soto out to end one inning and make Judge lead off the next, just split those guys up somehow. You know what I'm saying? Just figure out a way to just not let them get up there with guys on base. You do that, you can beat those Yankees.
Yep, I agree.
We've already figured out a recipe. We took 3 out of 4 in the first series of the year.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. The problem is we lined up our 3 best starters for you guys. Sorry about that.
It doesn't matter to me. Are you kidding me? I don't care. I don't care. Well, honestly, it's great because we have people in our town that have said that this team hasn't beaten anybody. Like they haven't played, and technically speaking, they have not played a lot of teams over 500. But at the same time, if they're not taking care of their business, everybody's talking badly about them. And for the last 2 years, they got off to such a bad start. They started off really bad this year in just the first week against the Braves, and then from there they just took off. And I care about wins at the end of the day. That's all I care about. I'm happy. My biggest takeaway in this series for the Phillies is that they can compete with the best teams in baseball. The question is, are they going to be able to hit with runners in scoring position? I know that JT didn't play. I know that Trey didn't play. And I understand that they don't have the depth with Cody Clemens out as well. I'm not making excuses for them either, but they may need another bat. And I may revisit that conversation because last year in the playoffs, after Game 2 of the NLCS, the bats went cold. And that's how they lost. So while I believe that Zach Wheeler's not going to have another bad outing like the way that he did today, I also have a gut feeling that maybe the bats could go cold. And that's what scares me. That's my concern that I take away from this series.
If everybody's healthy, if Turner's healthy, Real Muto's healthy, what position are you looking at to change, like center field or?
If I'm being nitpicky, the weakest link, and not a lot of teams have this problem, the weakest link is right field.
Right field.
Nick Castellanos.
Right.
Right now.
Nick right the now. Stick.
Yeah. Mr. Swing at the first pitch type of a guy. So that's
he should does Schwarber hit lefties okay? Or is he
Schwarber's been okay. Oh, Schwarber's been great against lefties. If he's batting 250 That's a 300 season for Kyle Schwarber.
Right.
That's how it is. So.
Oh yeah, I get it. He doesn't have to have a high average, but I was just
No.
wondering, like, would there be
No,
a
he's been hitting
situation
the
where
lefties really well.
I was just thinking, what if you went in a situation where at the trade deadline you went out and you got yourself a right fielder, get Castellanos off the field, and then maybe he kind of platoons with Schwarber, lefty and righty at the DH spot.
Schwarber defensively is nothing. Schwarber is awful defensively.
Oh, I'm not talking about Schwarber defensively. I'm talking about platooning at DH. I was wondering if Schwarber, if he wasn't good against lefties, then you could just use Castellanos instead.
Oh, just put Castellanos in at the DH? No, because Casty's bat has been a lot worse than Kyle Schwarber's.
Right, but yeah, if you're telling me Schwarber can hit lefties, it's a moot point either way. I was just Why am I trying to figure out how to help your team?
I don't know, because we're doing a podcast together. That's probably why. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. The weakest link of the team right now is obviously they need their guys to be healthy, but Castellanos has been so cold. And I'm at the point where I'm just looking to try to see if I can get a Luis Robert or a Kyle Tucker. I'm looking for it.
You're not getting Kyle Tucker. No way.
I think we may get Luis Robert. I don't think that's
Robert is certainly a possibility.
Yes.
I don't see Tucker, but Robert would be an ad. I'm sure he'd be very happy to be on a competitive team and probably put up a lot better numbers than he is right now.
Correct. But also he's even better defensively because he's fast. The question about Robert, of course, is health. That's always the number one question. He can't stay healthy. And the other thing, I am a little bit, the team you were talking about before, how the Orioles have a really good chemistry going on and they have that next man up mentality, but they also don't let their egos get into the way. I'm not saying that Luis Robert has been a cancer or anything to a locker room. I do question, though, if the addition of Luis Robert or even Kyle Tucker, I don't think it would happen with Kyle Tucker because I've heard so many great things about Tucker as a locker room guy. I haven't heard much about Luis Robert, and I'd be curious to see if that negatively impacts the team.
Well, he's definitely coming from a team that is just oozing in negativity across the board. But how much of that is due to Robert? I don't know. I mean, considering that he is the star player on the team, you would think that he would take some sort of leadership role and try to, even if they're out there and they're not playing, like a contender, the way they're playing is like a team that don't care to even, be so that does lend the question, like, well, what is Robert doing? Does he even care? Or is he just waiting for somebody to pluck him away from this awful situation that he finds himself in? Which to me, again, that's a red flag for me. If you're not going to sit there and like set an example for an otherwise bad team, and you're only going to wait around for a contender, well, I don't want you. I like the guys that have to suffer and try to turn. I mean, look at Anthony Santander. We talked about this a little bit before we got on tonight, JJ. But Anthony Santander, Rule 5 draft pickup.
I know.
This is a guy.
So was Ranger Suarez. He was a Rule 5 too.
Anybody could have had this guy.
Yep.
But all he's shown since he's been here is that, man, I just want to play baseball. He's always had a great attitude, And we were very lucky to find him. And I'm sure you guys feel the same about Suarez.
Absolutely. Diamond in the rough. Diamond in the rough for sure.
Man, we need to find another pitcher, man. We're going to have to make a trade and get another pitcher, man. That's going to have to happen.
I know we're probably going to be competing with that too, even though I don't really know if we need another one, but that's another conversation for another day. I did want to ask you, because going back to just this whole series, the one thing I learned about you guys, and I wasn't really shocked about this, but your bullpen is good. You have a really, really good bullpen. I thought that your bullpen did a really good job overall. Yeah, you could always every team could use another arm for sure. Yeah. Every team can always use another arm, but Cano is really good. I really thought that even in that first game, your bullpen did everything possible except in the 11th inning. You could not have asked for a better performance from your bullpen on Friday.
Some guys on in our pen that Oriole fans, myself included, don't have a whole lot of confidence about in general, really stepped up big this weekend. Keegan Aiken pitched three scoreless innings. I didn't even know Aiken could go that length of time, let alone do it effectively. Yeah. And the fact that he did was a shock. Brian Baker, a name you might have noticed.
Yep. I saw him.
We just called him up. I mean, this is a guy that I had no trust in following last season, especially during that postseason series against the Rangers where we got lit up. He came in and absolutely, turned the bed brown, if there's a better way of putting that expression. He came in and turned the bed brown.
That's funny.
But look, he got called up, and since he's been called up, he's made 2 appearances, and he's looked very, very good. So what you saw might be a little bit of an aberration. I don't know how much to read into it, but in general, yeah, the bullpen. Look, Denny Coulombe has been a great lefty for us. He's got one of the best breaking ball packages you're going to see out there. Really nasty stuff. He's on the DL right now.
Yeah,
and it's tough because for high leverage situations, you want that lefty you can bring in to get those tough lefty bats, and that was our guy. CNL Perez kind of has to fill in the role. We kind of had a 1A, 1B lefty.
He did good today, Perez, CNL.
Yeah, and he had a bad outing a couple of outings before. I mean, you know how bullpens are. You're gonna, unless you're Matt Strom, apparently, you're gonna have your occasional
ups and downs.
But in general, you look at the ERAs. We've done a pretty good job the thing is what really helps is that when we need to bridge the gap to the 9th inning, those 7th and 8th innings, that's when we usually score the most.
Right.
So it's like, even if our bullpen might give up a run or 2 during those late innings, we're usually putting up 2 or 3 ourselves, if not more. And that's how we wind up winning a lot of games.
One of your other guys, Jacob Webb, has been really good out of your bullpen.
Jacob Webb, his ERA is under 2 now, I think, or floating around under 2.
1.91. Does that surprise you? Considering that he's 30.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think he's an effective reliever, but I also understand that he could go out there, face 4 batters, and give up 4 runs in a start, and suddenly his ERA is at 3.5. It just, relief pitchers who pitch like 26 innings very well, or whatever it is right now. That's great. He's doing great so far, but you know how it can go with these,
of course,
relievers. So far, so good, though. Yeah, I mean, overall, it's great. We got no Felix Bautista. Craig Kimbrell has been a bit of a heart attack, but what's new? He's been a heart attack for a lot of teams he's played on. But basically,
he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer. That's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah, and nobody's ever really happy when you're blessed with an arm like Felix Bautista, just an absolute shutdown kind of closer. It's difficult to sit there and watch another closer come in and walk a batter or nibble around the plate and get behind the count and all that stuff. And you see that with Kimbrell a lot. But at the end of the day, he did have a couple blown saves in close proximity, and Brandon Hyde even yanked him twice in situations where he hadn't even technically blown the save yet, which again, I think is really ballsy for the manager to do. I mean, you're talking about a guy you brought in as a an ace closer, quote unquote, a Hall of Fame potential closer, the kind of guy you treat with those like museum gloves, like, oh, this guy's a valuable piece and we must treat him as such. Well, Brandon Hyde didn't care. Brandon Hyde saw Kimbrell struggling in 2 situations where the game was still on the line. The save had not been blown, and he yanked him. And I give Hyde
Rob
credit
wouldn't do that. Rob would never do that.
Yeah.
That's the difference between Hyde and Rob. And I'd be a little bit nervous about that in the World Series match between you guys because I've seen it work with Rob, but sometimes I don't always trust it.
Well, don't most Philly fans, at least that I've talked to since last season, when they talk about who to blame for going out in the postseason, the name Craig Kimbrell seems to come up more than anybody else.
People say that, but at the end of the day, like Craig didn't execute, the bats didn't show up. And on top of that, Rob Thompson in Game 4 mismanaged the pitching staff. Because Christopher Sanchez, it should have never been a bullpen game. And because he had Hoffman and because he went to Alvarado, guess who he was stuck with in the 9th inning? That guy. I can't blame Craig for that. I mean, I can blame him for not executing, but Rob screwed up and the bats didn't do their part. They just went ice cold. And that was that. That was that. So a couple more questions, okay, just to you about this particular series. What scares you about the Phillies? Like just from an outsider's perspective, or like what this weekend showed you, like, man, this team is good, or like, man, this team has a weakness here, or just, I don't know.
I'll say this.
Go for it.
Even Taijuan Walker, even though obviously of the three, the weakest one you threw out there, you guys work really fast. I mean, you guys get the ball back and throw it. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to call the game, and I can't even like get a word in edgewise because the next pitch is already coming in. I think that's a good strategy on your part. I think that can be a pretty effective. I mean, despite the fact that there's a pitch clock, obviously, and everybody's got to, kind of speed things up. I mean, you guys. I mean, I just remember during that Walker outing that pretty much every at bat, every Oriole hitter had to, call for time and just step out of the box after a couple of pitches because it was like, slow down, hold on, let me get my feet in the box.
That's how Ranger is. Ranger
Same
just
thing.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
he's a motor. He's a motor. It's really, really wild. So. And Cello actually brought up a good point too. I was going to say, I'm sure that Alec Bohm scares you a little bit.
Yeah, great
too.
series from Bohm.
Yeah.
This is a guy that the past few seasons playing the show.
What a story.
I've always looked at him like, oh, this guy looks like a nice corner infield prospect. But why are his splits so bad? Why can't he? Is it he can't hit lefties or righties or something? But whatever it was that was, working against him in the early part of his career, he's clearly figured things out. He's a good hitter.
Yeah, he is a really good hitter. I like him. He was so not loved when he first came up for the Phillies. He was terrible defensively. People were actually saying that Rhys Hoskins' defense was sort of like an all-star level of defense compared to Alec Bohm's defense. His defense over at third base has gotten so much better.
Didn't make a mistake really I could see this weekend. I didn't see him. Every ground ball his way, he took care of it.
He did. He absolutely did.
Sosa looked okay. Sosa was busy and short. A lot of plays.
Man, he has underrated power. He really does.
I want you went home run. Yeah, I mean, your guys' team, I think the thing that scares me the most is that you guys have a little more experience, and in a postseason situation, our fan base has got to pick things up. We've got to rock the yard. We got to take advantage of being at home, facing big teams. And
that should be a worry for you in the playoffs if we played you in the World Series.
I mean, I'm not worried about having the ratio of fans like this come playoff time, especially in a World Series situation. I mean,
playing at CBP is so different. It is a football atmosphere. I'm being dead serious. Like in the playoffs, like they take over. they take over the whole entire city.
Yeah. So and the talk about the Orioles and their 3-and-out last season in the postseason. I mean, it just felt like we were not ready for the occasion, and that's why when I looked at the schedule this spring and saw this particular part of the schedule when we faced the Braves, you guys, and then the Yankees, I'm like, that is the test. We have to treat these games, these series, like individual series, as if they were best of three, out of three post-game series or postseason series. And so far, we've taken 2 out of 3 from the Braves. We've taken 2 out of 3 from the Phillies. We're playing, and I'm telling you, we're playing it that way. We're looking at it that, like, when we lost that first game, it was all about we got to come back and take the series. We got to come back and take the series. That's all that matters.
I think that the test is going well for you guys so far, but this is the open-ended because it's the Yankees, and they're the best team in baseball. Division rival, well, record-wise. I'm just saying.
We are one game back in the loss column, and they've played 3 more games than us.
I get it.
3-1 against them.
I understand. I get it. But to me, this is the open-ended part of the exam where you have to really just go out there and you have to win the series against the Yankees. I feel like if you don't win the series against the Yankees, then it's a disappointment. That's how I feel.
I mean, obviously, I'd be disappointed. I want to take 2 out of 3. I'm not sitting here with rose-colored glasses going, I think we can sweep the Yankees. The mission is 2 out of 3. The mission is always 2 out of 3. The 2 out of 3 pace to get to 108 wins. We've basically been on it all season long. But look, here's the deal. And I talked about this with my friends in Charm City chat after that first loss to you guys on Friday night, which was this. I said, going into the 9-game stretch with the Braves, Phillies, and the Yankees, if I were to tell you guys we went 5-4 in that stretch, would you take it?
Yes.
And that's the answer I got from people was yes. Well, guess what? Even if we lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, we still go 5-4 in those 9 games. I don't want to lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. But here's another thing, JJ.
Go for it.
I'm only worried about what we do game to game. I'm not worried about the division and who's on top. Because first of all, you look at how the Rays started last year.
The bye and all that. Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, look at how the Rays started last year. I mean, they took a giant leap. They took a historic leap out in front. We were not in first place at this stage last season either.
Right.
It's a grind, and that I think the Orioles are built that way to be consistent and not fizzle out sometime in August or something and suddenly drop down in the standings. We're going to be right there. I mean, at this point, I would be shocked if we don't win 100 games. There, I said it.
Honestly, I'm at the point where I feel the same way too about the Phillies. I'd be shocked if the Phillies don't win 100 games.
That's why the chances of us matching up for an 83 rematch is very, very possible, man.
I know, but
we
have to get through the Dodgers. You got to get through the Yankees,
right?
Both of those.
But everybody's sick of those guys. Don't you want this brotherly love versus Charm City matchup? Forget New York and LA and all that fancy.
Some people are actually getting tired though of Philadelphia making it further into the playoffs because they some people. I've talked to some people about this, but there are people that are like, man, like, we're not underdogs anymore. We're sort of becoming the favorite from the National League. That's how it goes. And once you're an underdog, like, it's cool and it's nice, but once you become the favorite, expectations they start to get higher and higher. So
yeah, I'm wondering, like, are you worried maybe you got too big of a lead on the Braves? Like suddenly
I'm not. Easy. I'm not worried about that because Acuna. I know that when Acuna was out, I know that they ended up winning the World Series, but they made so many moves. Alex Antopoulos made so many moves. He bought themselves that. Adam Duvall, Jorge Soler, You know,
Kellenick,
Charlie Morton.
Morton.
Yeah. Yep. Like all those guys. Eddie Rosario, another one. Like he got all those guys during that trade deadline. But I mean, I'm not saying that the Braves aren't a threat, but they lost Michael Harris, I believe. He's injured.
Did they?
And
That must have just
Spencer
happened. He was healthy just 2 days ago when we played him.
He injured his
Or 3 days
hamstring.
ago.
Somebody said on my stream the other day. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I know that he injured his hamstring. I believe it was last night or it was Friday.
Wow.
But yes.
That's more tough luck for the Braves.
Yes.
They've had a lot
of course, they lost Spencer Strider too.
And a lot of the hitters that are healthy, like Austin Riley, a shell of the numbers he put up last season.
I know.
Matt Olson's power numbers are way down. Sean Murphy was an all-star last year. He's dead weight. He's hitting like $145 or something.
Chris Sale's doing great.
Ozuna is an all-star. Ozuna's doing great.
He's an MVP. He's an MVP.
The problem is he's like a Giancarlo Stanton. The guy cannot run at all, and he can't feel. He can do nothing for you but hit. And it's great when he can do it, but man,
sure,
he had a couple of spots in that series with us where just about all but 4 or 5 guys in the league would have gotten an extra base or beat out the hit or whatever. He's a slow poke. I don't like slow pokes.
Well, Kyle Schwarber is pretty slow too.
I bet he is. That's why he's the perfect leadoff man, just like a Rod Carew or Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, Adam Dunn. Well, Adam Dunn wouldn't have led off on that Reds team, but yeah, he is Adam Dunn pretty much. All right, one more question that I wanted to ask you.
We got one more. Hey, chat, do you have anything for BW? What do you got?
Yeah, go for ahead. It. No, my question that I wanted to ask you is that do the
4:50 a.m. here, by the way.
Right. What do the Orioles need? I know that you talked about starting pitching. They could definitely use another starting pitcher. Is Dean Kramer coming back?
I mean, that's
John Means.
That's the thought. John Means, no. Tyler Wells, no. Both are gone, and Means probably done. Means probably completely done.
So you definitely need another pitcher. Who's on the market that you want?
That I want, or that I feel would be a smart move and not give up too much to get?
Both.
Because that's the thing. I mean, I'd want Jesus Luzardo. Go ahead and give him to me. I want him. He appears to be on the market. If you want a lefty to replace John Means, there you go. But we also have Cade Povich just popping up. He put out a fantastic start. We're going to probably see if maybe he can be a part of this rotation.
So, so hold up. So you're not taking Garrett Crochet.
It's something about the White Sox. Again, even with Cease, when Cease was available in the offseason, I wasn't interested in Cease. I don't know. There's something. There is a virus in Chicago. I don't want anybody from that team. I got to be honest. I don't know why.
You don't want anybody from that team.
It might be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Crochet's a great pickup, but I don't know. Call me nuts, but give me a guy that at least is on a team with some kind of. Because I mean, look at has Cease really been all that great with the Padres, or has he just been kind of?
He's been okay. He hasn't been dominant. He hasn't really been dominant. I'll look at his stats real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I really
actually sorry. He lost today because the Mets lost because the Mets beat them 11-6. So he got the loss. He's 6-6 with a 3.95 ERA.
All right, so there you go. That's
yep.
That's like
Taijuan Walker. I think
that's like a number 3 pitcher in a 500 on a 500 team. That's not what we need to replace Kyle Bradish. We need something a little better than that.
Yep, I agree.
I think Luzardo's got a great arm, got good stuff, and I think the Marlins, they're excuse me, their organization is set up to do business with us because they have a surplus of pitching and we've got a surplus of hitters.
Yeah.
And we can offer them a lot of young talent in return for a guy like Luzardo. It's really tough. It stinks, man, because we probably could have made a better deal, or maybe we wouldn't have. I mean, because the league always knows what's going on. When Bradish went down a couple of weeks ago, we were trying to keep it under wraps and going like, oh, he's just going to skip a start. Nobody was really talking about what was going on. I knew then that it was time to be in panic mode. Yep. And lo and behold, like 10 days later, here we are, probably without Bradish. So we got, I mean, look, Mike Elias, I mean, I don't know how you rank your GMs out there, if you follow all of them and how they do their business, but I don't know of a GM that's doing better than Mike Elias with the moves he's made. I mean, he's made a couple of ones that didn't pan out, but by and large,
he's been doing pretty good.
He's been finding some nice pickups for us. So, yeah, I'm optimistic, man. I think we're going to, you know, as long as Burns is fit, Grayson doesn't go back down, Kramer comes back eventually, Irvin kind of keeps doing his thing. We've still got a guy like Albert Suarez and Cade Povich that maybe don't sound like people you can trust in the postseason, but are still probably going to be valuable
innings eaters,
contributors, you know, down the stretch. Sure. So, yeah, I mean, we need another arm. If you pulled the Orioles right now, I don't know. If you ask an Orioles fan right now, if they knew Kyle Bradish wasn't going to be back, what would you rather go after? Like a shutdown closer, like Moore, or what's his name? Mason Miller. Yeah. Out in Oakland, or would you rather go after, you know, like the best starting arm you can get? I think right now
you take a starter.
I don't know. It's close. It really is. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if as a fan base, we're going to trust Craig Kimbrell to give him the ball in the ninth inning in the postseason.
Well, the other thing that you have to think about too is that, let's just say Bradish is not pitching really, really well. Guess what? That taxes the bullpen. And God forbid, if Corbin Burns is pitching the next day like he did today, you know, unfortunately for us last night, for example, Zach Wheeler, I see the hat. I see it. I love it. I love the hat.
Just trying to address the bird watchers out there.
Yes, for sure.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
But listening. Zach, so the one thing I got really mad about last night was that the Phillies didn't really go to their best their best arms because Rob Thompson had to save them. And I know,
didn't you use, this is a comment I made, because in that wild game on Friday night, you guys brought out your best guys. And I was saying at the time, I'm like, well, I think this is going to help us out tomorrow because A, they're going to have Taijuan Walker out there. That's their best shot against the three guys. And then B, they've already used their high leverage relievers in this first game. So we're going to have the advantage in the bullpen.
The point that I'm trying to make, though, is that while they used the guys that they did yesterday, I was thinking to myself, well, what if Zach Wheeler had a bad outing?
Right.
And Zach Wheeler did have a bad outing today. And guess what? You know, I guess it didn't really ultimately matter at the end of the day. If it was a playoff game, that's different. But the point I'm trying to make with all this talk is, what if Corbin Burns doesn't have a good day after there's a really bad outing by Bradish and you're taxing your bullpen? Don't you think that it would be reliable? It would be great to just have another starter that could just maybe even come in as a middle reliever type of a thing.
Well, that's sort of what Albert Suarez is for us right now. He's a jack of all trades, and the guy's got a sub-2 ERA, and we've been using him in every possible scenario you can imagine. I mean, it doesn't matter to him, and that's why I respect him so much, because, you know, you got all these prima donna pitchers out. I remember Marcus Stroman getting signed by the Yankees, and they were like, can we give you the ball on opening day? He's like, it kind of goes against my normal routine.
Saw that.
I'm like, really, dude? Yeah. You just signed a Yankee contract? They're asking you to take the ball on opening day. You know what the normal response to that to be is? Give me the ball. Give me the ball.
Carlos
I'm ready.
Rodon too.
I'll
Carlos
be ready.
Rodon too. Yeah.
And that's what Albert Suarez is. It's give me the ball. I'll be ready. And I love him for that.
That's how Ranger Suarez is for us. Are they brothers?
Could be. There's something in the blood.
It could be. It could be.
Maybe
right.
Eugenio is a part of it too. I don't know.
For sure. For sure. Steve.
Yes.
I want to give you the floor. I want you to tell people where they can find you on YouTube.
I am at YouTube at Orioles Birdwatcher. I don't know. Just type it in a search. Orioles Birdwatcher. I'm that famous now. Just type it in there and it ought to pop up. When you see an Oriole bird with a blue sky background, you're in the right place.
Yep.
And feel free, maybe one of my mods like Janet or somebody can just, I don't know. I guess they're not mods on your channel, so they can't drop in a link. But,
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm definitely going to do it. But
hey,
anyhow,
Philly fans, listen, I'm going to give you the same advice I give to my fan base here, which is this. It's something I learned from a very wise young man back in 1992 by the name of Zach De La Rocha, which is know your enemy. All right? Folks, follow the Birdwatcher, but hey, follow my boy JJ here too. We might be playing these guys down the road.
Absolutely.
We want to keep an eye on what they're doing and figure out what it takes to beat them if it comes to it. You know what I mean?
And guess what? If you can't beat them, join them. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
But hey, yeah, you Philly fans, you come on in and join the Birdwatcher channel too.
That's right.
Because,
that's right.
You know, at the end of the day, now that we're done playing each other, you know, maybe that brotherly love and that Charm City can come together a little bit, and we can watch a few of each other's games without having too much animosity, right?
I love that.
Now that we've done our job and won the series.
Now it's all good.
Didn't I wait to the last part of the interview or whatever?
Yes.
I waited as long as I could.
You did.
Orioles
I give you a round of applause.
Orioles magic. All right.
I do have to say really quickly before I let you go, there's not a lot of people that are on here that do radio style play-by-play like you and I do. And I really have to just say that the way that you have been, first of all, grinding on here is one thing. Like, work ethic to me is great, but with the way that you just interact with your audience and the style that you bring to your casts, you know, some people may call it old school. I'm sort of like that too, but I really feel like you do such an awesome job. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really do.
JJ, I mean, look, if you're going to send me a compliment like that, well, how am I supposed to respond, right? I mean, obviously, that fills up the ego.
Don't have to.
The ego is pulsating right now, okay? Look, I'm blessed with a lot of different things, and I'm also cursed with a few others. But for whatever reason, I think I'm just built to kind of do what I'm doing here. It's the right kind of background. It's the thing I care most about. That's not, you know, the love of my fellow human being. Like when it comes to just an activity or a passion or a hobby or whatever, baseball's number one. The Orioles are number one. 41 years of waiting for a pennant. I mean, I was 6 years old, JJ. Too young to know. Too young to feel it.
Yeah.
So when I finally did, let me tell you one quick story, okay?
I'm ready.
Your boy became an Oriole fan for life.
By the way, you had no idea that if this was going to go a half hour or not, and we're at an hour 15. So I told you. Right. I told you.
Yeah, I figured because we're a couple of. This is what we do. We talk. But yeah, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
1988. Your boy turns 11 years old. He gets cable and a local sports package called Home Team Sports. Suddenly, there's more Oriole games to watch. And for whatever reason, I'm like, I'm going to give this baseball thing a chance. I wasn't really following it much as a kid because I grew up in a house so football was the main thing. And yeah, So, you know what the Orioles did in 1988? By any chance?
Went to the World Series.
Not quite. They started the season 0-21. Did you know that there was a team out there that started a season that way?
0-21 to start off a season.
0-21.
I've seen
And what
0
happened
and 10.
was
I haven't seen 0-21.
About a week into the season or so, they fired Cal Ripken Sr. and replaced him with Frank Robinson. The streak just kept going and going to the point where it became national news. They were an embarrassment to the whole damn. And I got upset, and I'm like, this is my team. This is my.
Right.
These are. Yeah. It made me support them more. Like it was their lowest point that made me go, you know what? I'm on board. I'm here to support, and I've never looked back, man. 41 years waiting. I will keep waiting until the day comes where I can celebrate. And you've seen me celebrate, I'm sure, on one of my streams. Oh, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it right. It's coming, Orioles fans. It won't be long. Hang in there. It's coming.
You're honestly a rare specimen because a lot of people that get attached to a team, they get attached to a player. And when they get attached to a player, it's when they're doing so good. So the fact that you honestly were able to attach to a team because they were 0-21 and you felt like, oh my gosh, like I have to be there for them just to see like how rewarding it would be just to be able to see them win the whole thing. I give you mad props for that because that is awesome. And I don't really find that with a lot of people. I really don't, especially in today's age.
Well, I'm very happy to report that the investment I made in 88 and the struggles that team had, it paid off because the following season, the Orioles had the infamous 1989 why not year. They almost went from worst. I think they finished with like 110 losses, lost the first 21. Everybody picked them to finish last the next season. They came within a game or two. They went into the final series of the final weekend against the Blue Jays with a chance to win the division. They were leading the division most of the summer. As a 12-year-old at that time, I mean, you want to talk about the perfect age. By the way, 1989, same year the movie Field of Dreams came out. The movie Major League came out. So you're a 12-year-old boy. You're watching a team that was so bad suddenly start winning. You're watching two of the greatest baseball movies ever made. You're 12. I mean, again, that was my indoctrination right there. Just want to get it out there for the record.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Love my Orioles.
Sense. I feel you, man. I love my Phillies. I love my Philly sports teams. I love my Philly freaks. I really do. So, guys, first of all, Steve, thank you so much for coming on here once again. We got to chop it up again. We have to chop it up again for sure. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me, JJ, and I really do appreciate the invite. And yeah, man, if you're going to be doing like Eagles games, I don't plan on doing Ravens. I'm going to need 6 months of calling games. I'm going to need those off months.
I know. I get it.
Rest the lungs. But I'll be hanging out with you over in your chat, I'm sure, during the football season a little bit.
I'm sure. Yeah, I've been trying to train my throat like LeBron James, and that may sound really, really weird, but LeBron, maybe he invests a lot of money into his body, but I'm really trying to, like day one, like when he came into the league, he knew that he had to, prepare, like he had to condition himself in order for him to have a very good longevity of a career. Of course, luck is involved in it too, but diet, nutrition, all those things. I'm trying to do a good job while I'm on here and while I'm 25, about ready to turn 26. I'm trying to drink more tea, train the vocal cords. And that's another reason why I don't really do a lot of hockey games, because when you're doing basketball and hockey at the same time, it's a lot on the vocal cords. It really is. But anyhow, thank you so much for coming on here again. We'll chop it up soon for sure. We'll definitely come back on. Guys, I love each and every one of you. Y'all are the best. Go support Orioles Birdwatcher. That's my boy Steve. He does an awesome job with the play-by-plays. He's showing you the hat right now. It's sexy. It's awesome, even though I can't look at it right now because y'all just beat us and I can't stand it. But anyhow, but yeah, all right, Laila Tov, and I will catch you all on the next one. Good night.
Bye.